Good morning. Good morning. This is the first session of the International Hub, which is the new boasting feature at HR Forum here in Milan. Welcome to everybody and welcome to our outstanding speakers. This is Adriano Solidoro, University of Milano-Bicocca. I'm going straight to introduce our speaker here that I welcome. And we have here Manuela Crisafulli, who's a HR business partner at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. Hello, Manuela. Barbara Preti, Head of Human Resources at Hire Europe. Thank you for being here, Barbara. Melissa Luongo, HR Director at Microsoft. Hello, Melissa. Thank you for being here. And last but not least, Maria Rosaria Bonifacio, People Head, Nokia Business Service at Nokia. Thank you for being here, Maria Rosaria. So the title of this session is People Management in a Less Globalized World, Rethinking Talent in Times of Restricted Mobility. So as the title suggests, we're talking about globalizations, which is not so globalized anymore, and talent. Globalization has been like the dominant mantra for many years, almost like a state of being. So we weren't suspecting that maybe things were going to change, not so soon. So now there's some geopolitical tensions, and what does it mean for organizations and individuals? It means that career that we were thinking like in terms of mobility, in terms of also international opportunities are not so much like that now. And also the huge pool of talents that globalization was presenting us is not there anymore. Of course, globalization had its own opportunities and challenges, of course, but now we're talking about a world that is shifting into a less globalized world. So I'm going to ask my guests here to share with us your experiences, your challenges, and also the learning opportunities that you had lately in terms of something that maybe didn't go in the way you were expecting. So it's a very valuable opportunity for learning also for our audience here. So we'll do the first round about what's happening now, what's happening so far, and maybe we'll do a second round about future opportunities and challenges and what you're planning for in order to tackle this shortage of talent. We'll see if there's a shortage of talent actually, and you'll tell me. Manuela Crisafulli, so again, HR business partner are Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. So you'll be the first to share with us your ideas, doubts, and also experiences that you carrying out at the moment. So Manuela, at you, 5 minutes.
No patch. Should work. Okay, so no pressure. As I was saying, I do confirm everything, Adriano, you just said, because we saw this a shift in the way the companies are operating. It's no more fluid. It's borderless. Not so much borderless as before. So we as HR business partner, because I am global HR business partner in Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise for the business unit of customer experience and services, we are living that because as this is the shift that we are living in how our companies are operating, there is a shift also in the way we need to manage our talents. What does it mean? That the first challenge, because you were talking about what is the main challenge, the first challenge is the lack of proximity. and also to give an answer to our key people. No shortage of talent, but key people, talent to be managed. It changed as well also the kind of experience that our talent are asking to have. Because it's true that there is a limited mobility opportunities because of the company. There are different constraints. Each company is now in a particular moment, and here we will have different experiences. But the fil rouge, let's say, that we discussed even before, is how the company is managing our talents in order to avoid to lose those talents. And I have to be honest, we came up with some strategies in the company. Sometimes are working, sometimes have to be, of course, revised a bit, but this is the experience that we are having currently. So the main challenge, if I can summarize, is the lack of proximity and the better understanding of our key talent, of our high potential in this so fragmented world that before was more connected. It's still connected, but is, as I said, is no borderless as before. And there are difficult also administrative, more complicated stuff. As you were saying, the geopolitical situation is really impacting a lot on that. So what does it mean? That we need to face also all these administrative challenges in front of us when a talent who is raising the hand for any kind of relocation and the opportunity is there, we need to go through. So it's not so easy. Getting a visa today is not overnight, let's say. So these are the main challenges that we have today, at least in Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. Loss of proximity, administrative stuff, and know your people.
Okay. So you're describing a world which is more fragmented, also within the organizational perimeter.
Yes.
So not only in terms of talent attractions or partnership, also within.
Yes, and this is where we are working. This is our main challenge, and I'm sure that we will make it.
Okay, we'll share your solutions later now.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't spoil.
Thank you.
I'm not going to spoil, promise.
Thank you. Barbara Preti, Head of Human Resources, Hire Europe. Is it you have the same perspective or you have a different perspective?
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you very much for the invitation. Very happy to be here and share my experience. Slightly different experience because I'm working for a Chinese company. Now, interestingly enough, I've been working for 20 years with General Electric, so an American corporation. And I can say I'm probably the product of what everybody will expect from a talent development point of view. So you get the international assignment, you get the expensive leadership program, and you happily grow internationally. GE was spending like $1 billion every year in talent development, and I think those days are gone, over completely. So I will recognize everything, we're talking with my colleagues. If we're looking at the US model, if we're looking at, how we actually grow in international company for the past 20 years, this word is gone. And we really need to find, different way. I think the cost challenge is for everybody. At the same time, I see in Europe, people like senior people are not really willing to relocate. Interesting enough, we've been offering relocation expat package at senior level, and they don't want to relocate to Milan. They have their own life, and they said, I'm willing to travel if you want, but definitely I'm not going to move. For junior talent, we can still move people across Europe. It's actually a bit less expensive, but definitely within Europe, less so assignment, at a global level. China, very different. China has a different view. They are expanding outside China, and they're very focused on understanding how to operate internationally. We get a lot of Chinese working with us. And I think from my observation point, what I see was happening in the past towards the West is actually happening toward the East. Very different though, because we could, first of all, speak English, so we could understand US. we thought US was inspirational. So we were all happy to work. Actually, I remember, we were all happy to go to the United States. Now I was wondering how many people will be happy to go to China, Qingdao, which is in the middle of nowhere in China. But this is actually what is happening. China is coming, and not just China, I think East is coming. They want to learn. If you think about talent, they are the best talent in our university. They used to go to the US up to a certain point, but they used to go to, UK. And actually, the Chinese talent coming up our even European university are super good, super hardworking. They're probably the best in terms of rate. And we really need to rethink about those talent, and we need to rethink our way to interact with that. Specifically, just a couple of examples that for us, it's the experiment right now is to find a different end-to-end way of working with China, for example. And this is not just about the shared services. It's not just about, okay, I'm sending, the shared service operational to India. Actually, the shared service are in Europe because of GDPR. We are finding different way, to create the product. So we provide the customer inside, the user inside, but then the production, is actually made over there. But this is really an interaction among peers, or even in the digital space, we're going D2C, direct to consumer. They have an enormous amount of talent with those kind of competencies that we dream of, we cannot even afford. And they are now producing product for us in terms of digital product, in terms of brand product, getting the guidelines from us, but then providing, what we cannot provide anymore because it will be very expensive. There is also exchange in the other side. So think about sustainability. They were not very keen in sustainability, but because the user in Europe is really interested in sustainability, think about UK, France. I was yesterday there, the consumer is really asking about sustainability. Suddenly, they want to be engaged in sustainability. They want to create product because they are very user-centric, and this is what they want to. So, in a nutshell, I see probably different paradigm. It's not going to be as it used to be, but I think we really need to rethink a little bit. We're going to interact with non-human. We are going to interact with culture that are scary and we do not understand, but this to me is probably the biggest opportunity.
Thank you, Barbara. Very fascinating to hear different perspectives. So you were mentioning the good old time with an investment in millions for talent development, and so you're describing it China as maybe the new American dream or something like that. Okay. Thank you, Barbara. So Melissa Luongo, HR Director at Microsoft. So another perspective from another country also. So.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I've been with Microsoft for 17 years. I started my career in Canada, moved to Italy, quickly did EMEA roles, global roles, and most recently, it's 8 years that I've been working in the Central Eastern Europe region, doing a variety of roles. One of them actually was the talent director of CEE, all up, so hiring all of the dirigente, the executives, top of pyramid roles. What can I say about the market right now? As you can imagine, from an IT company, the market for us right now is AI, from a skills perspective, but also from a market and costing and global perspective in many ways. So to start off with, when you're moving to becoming a AI-driven company, there's huge CapEx investments. It's to the point that when we go to HR conferences now, they teach us about P&L because they're ingraining in our mindset this mindset that we need to spend a significant amount of money on IT infrastructure, data centers, which will allow us to win the race of AI or be a key player in the race of AI. But with that comes very significant OpEx constraints, which as an HR person, that means a lot of trade-offs when it comes to talent. But we also need the best talent in the world. So it's a bit of a paradox, right? So what am I seeing, particularly in my business? we're seeing increased centralization from the center, from the top, meaning a lot of decisions are made at corporate from Seattle. So middle management in the field globally does not have the ability to decide, specific things, which has an impact on talent. A, for how much money there is to spend on talent management and relocation, but also B, in terms of empowerment. So we have a bit of a mismatch as well with very senior leaders regionally who used to lead, decide, plan, now are taking, directive, and they need to implement. So we need to implement very quickly and really just, I don't want to say command and control because that's not the right word, because we are still very entrepreneur, very risk-taking. However, the employees feel a change. So centralization from the top, which also decreases the level of, let's say, big jobs in the field, right? So if you want to move to Seattle, fantastic. There's so many roles that you can go do. But locally, they become less and less. So centralization is one. Secondly is also decreased relocation budgets, as you mentioned, $1 billion. They exist, relocation budgets. Don't get me wrong. We have talent programs that speak about fueling future leaders and those leaders who want to move, right? I was saying earlier as we were preparing, my favorite thing in a talent profile is limited mobility. So you really need to probe and ask, what does limited mobility mean? And it typically means I'm open to live in Frankfurt and travel to Milan, 2 days a week. But that has a cost as well. So we don't necessarily think limited mobility is the right thing. This third thing is also, because a lot of decisions are being made centrally, we're seeing an increase in hubs, okay? So leadership roles for finance, for example, will be in Singapore, Seattle, Ireland, right? So you catch US, Europe, and Asia, which then hinders talent mobility for somebody based in Milan. If they don't want to move, or they're not even given the option to move, right? Because they'll post the job. It's just unfortunate because you might lose super great talents that are not willing or not able to move to the hub location. And then the last thing is you also start to see the increased narrative of return back to work. So, going back to work 3 days now hasn't hit Europe yet, but it's already started in the US, in Seattle. And it's got a lot of different flares to it. But the main point is they want to increase collaboration. And I think that the narrative, and it is a good thing to do, however, the perception from employees is also that it decreases, work-life flexibility and the gains made. I think we are at the beginning of this, so I can't speak to, how it's going to work out in the end. But there is this just perception right now of centralization, decreased mobility options, decreased budgets for this type of investment and movement of talent. And then lastly also, and you also need to work in the office. So I'll speak a bit later about how I really believe we'll get through this and continue to grow and evolve. I really see this as a moment in time with a CapEx-driven notion, having to capture the market. We're driving something else right now and trying to retain, the best talent. So,
okay, thank you. There's one question for you. You were mentioning limited mobility. Okay, is it limited? This limited mobility, is it like a shift in the personal approach of individuals, or it has always been like that, and now organizations are more like willing to spare some money, so they are very more willing to say, okay, limited mobility maybe is not such an opportunity?
I feel limited mobility is a term used more by the employee. So it doesn't put an X on you're not mobile, and it also doesn't say that you are. So there have been situations in the past where, give myself for example, I'm based in Milan and I work in Eastern Europe, right? So I'm a limited mobility person in the sense that I travel within the region. I don't live in the region. And that allowed me to work in that region as opposed to, having to move there. So I think it's one play, the way employees keep their options open internally so that they are on those lists and, for career growth and talent profiles. And then after, when the reality comes now, you really understand, will they move? Because again, it's the right opportunity. It's someone's stage in life. There's various factors that also, make it a go or no go.
Thank you. Okay. Maria Rosaria Bonifacio, people had a Nokia business service at Nokia, so another big player. So what's the perspective from a big telco company point of view?
I think, yes, I think a lot has been said. So really what to add to this interesting point. What I have never seen this local mobility as a top of the priority. In fact, I have been living abroad the majority of my life and moved with either expat or local contracts, because expat contracts are something, I think, from the past that do not exist any longer. So I had the question 14, 15 years ago, would you move locally to Finland, for example? And I did that because we are in the European community. And that is one element that helps to be in the European community and having the flexibility to move from one side to another. So as a company, we have never stopped mobility looking at the costs, but looking at the possibility to go and live into other countries as a local. Then there are very few of those situations, but that are, more expensive. What I see that is happening, and that has been said in many literature, with COVID, with the wars, with the tariff, the environment has totally changed. And so even the possibility before to work from home, and now instead to go back to the office. So we are having those shifts that are very quick and require from the HR organization really to adapt in a nanoseconds with new policies. And that we have done. I think that the HR teams have really demonstrated that they can cope with this environment and this uncertainty. But what is critical is to look where the apps are, where the skills are, the critical skills, where the university that are providing the critical skills are, in order to make sure that then, and that is what the company is looking from a strategic point of view. And then you have the decision of where the company should be located. So if I look at my experience, I have never looked at things like a local kind of organization. And my organization so far has given always the opportunity to work globally, to work into projects at a global level, and to, people feels very much international and global, wherever they are sitting. It doesn't matter. I see a shift, of course, but so far we have been able even to groom talent at whatever level and to groom people wherever they are, either from India, from Latin America, North America, or whatever. So I see that we have as well invested very much in the new skills and, from artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and all the new trends that we have in order, because this is the core and the heart of the company. So maybe because my perspective has been always global. I have worked many, many years ago into the local apps. And therefore, global for me is still possible.
Okay, thank you, Maria Rosaria. You added your perspective to the bigger picture. And now we have a better idea of what's happening. The as is. Now I would like to discuss with you the to be. the solutions and opportunities of the future. And so we have time now for hearing from you your ideas and doubts. And also, if you and your organizations are planning something for the next future, or just exploring some scenario, or just might be also like a personal hope about the future. So, who wants to start? Barbara, do you want to? Okay.
So, future, at least from my observation point, maybe a few points of, that made me think and reflect. So, first of all, we just hired a CFO who is Chinese. And when you talk to him, he speaks English with a French accent because he has been living in France for so long that the feeling, like if you close your eyes, you feel like you're talking with a French person. He's an amazing talent because he understands China, he can talk to them, he can manage them, but at the same time, he understands Europe. He has been grown and grown in Europe. 5 years from now, I think we will have so many of this kind of profile, which is a threat and an opportunity because they will understand us. But, the question is, can we understand them, which is a big question mark. So threat and opportunity. I see incredible, and then I will come back, but just pause that. When we work with China is really difficult. Like, oh boy, I can write a book of everything that can go wrong because we do not understand, we have bias, we look at them suspiciously, we feel we don't share the same values, and everything that can go wrong, it goes wrong. And this is a threat because working with them and for them working with us is really alien. We are alien to each other, not just from a language point of view. I speak English to them and they need to translate. Some people are not even speaking English. The loss of translation culturally is just unbelievable. This is a huge, huge threat because working together is incredibly difficult and not enjoyable at first because we just do not even like to work with each other. But then in the end, if both of us make an effort, the effort is amazing and it requires the next level of inclusion. We're talking about diversity inclusion. Boy, this is stellar inclusion together with them. But it is an opportunity. I think we really need to think about assignment in China very early for people and kids to just go for 3 months, for 6 months, but just to get a flavor of what it means and how it feels. And then, really learning from each other. I think this is, again, huge opportunity currently, huge threat, because to go over the period of getting to know each other and make the business survive, big question mark, really, right? So in a nutshell, I would say there are a couple of things. Europe can lead because when I think about the way we're growing up, we go to university, we study philosophy, we're studying how to think. This is unbelievable. Not every culture is alike. And sometimes we position ourselves, not as victim, but we're waiting. We're waiting for US to tell us how to operate and the latest. And we're waiting for China sometimes to... We should learn how to lead because we can. And sometimes I don't feel we're bold enough to say, you know what, I will learn how to work with everybody. But in the end, I contribute, and my contribution is really a leading contribution. I think we need to do a lot more of that. I think this is what we're trying to teach our talent, that sometimes they're not leading enough and say, this is wrong for the business. We need to really, do it in a different way. But at the same time, the disruption or going through something that we don't understand is something we really need to do. And at times, I'm sorry to say, we have been talking about engagement so much that sometimes talent feel spoiled. They feel that we need to do a lot of things to them. But guys, we have artificial intelligence, we have programs, we can learn everything and everything. In Africa, they can go to the best university course because now they can attend them online. I think we also need to regain some pragmatism, some willing to lead, some, a little bit of, the spirit of I'm not waiting. I'm going to lead and I'm going to learn a new way.
Thank you, Barbara, for sharing these. And you mentioned a topic which I was thinking was the elephant in the room, because nobody was mentioning it: diversity management, which also is going through a shift in approaches, at least US. Maybe Europe will follow soon, so also that's an issue. And Manuela, do you want to share with us also your ideas about future opportunities?
For sure. I can find a lot of points in common with all the experiences shared today. What we lived, and we lived that since a bit of years now. And in HR, we need to cope with this talent management shift. So 4 years ago, more or less, we started a program specific focused for our high potential around the world, because we didn't have one. And this, the impossibility or the limited mobility, as Melissa was saying, that we lived as well, obliged us with pleasure to think about this global high potential program. And the candidates are candidates nominated by the people manager. So first of all, you need to know your people. Second, this program is for the worldwide, as I was saying, high potential, and they have to go through a huge calibration in different phases. One of the main questions that we need to answer, and we need them to answer, is: do you want to be relocated? Do you want to travel? Can you travel? And the answers are very different. There is the talent that has already a huge experience in the company. We say, you know what, I love traveling, but do not relocate me. There is the fresh talent that is willing to be relocated. We also leverage a lot some of the government initiative. In France, they have this famous VIE program, so people in France until a certain range of age have the possibility to work abroad, not in France, for maximum couple of years. We use a lot this program, and then we hire the talent that comes out. An example, and this is an example of the limited mobility that we unfortunately have, is that one guy applied. We take this guy. He moved to Singapore. He stayed there 2 years. He showed all his talent. At the end of the 2 years, we had to decide: do we hire this guy or not? So we decided to hire, but he needs to come back. And they said, but I do not want to go back in France, in my country. Please relocate me to UK. This happened 9 months ago. We still don't have the visa for this guy for UK. So this is one of the main challenges also that we are having. And this is a bit of in conjunction with the budget constraint. So what we are doing is, of course, we take care of our people. With this guy, this kind of guys, because are multiple in the company, we are always in contact with them. So the lack of proximity, the challenge of the lack of proximity that I was mentioning before, we tried to limit it with one of our communication platform that our talent develop. So they feel proud to use this communication platform, whose name is Rainbow. And we could at least fill in the gap of the lack of proximity. Rainbow allows us to see our talent, to talk with them, and to recreate the connection that the proximity in the past, let's be honest, the proximity used to do a lot of work for us in the past, because create connection that we lost. Then with Rainbow we regained, we fill in the gap, and then now Rainbow, which is again the communication platform, plus the usage of the AI, so the sentiment analysis, so we know the person in front of us, how many minutes spoke, the silent, the doubt that he could have shared with some of facial expression, or the path that this person, especially the talent, they want to be heard, they need to be seen. So AI allow us, once we start the call with these people, to have the history of these people in life, in real time. We know when we hired which program they are following, the training that they have done, and then we have this match with the sentiment analysis that we receive at the end of the call. So it's a strategy that we are using in Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise, using Rainbow Plus AI to leverage a bit this lack of proximity. And when we thought about Rainbow, when our talents developed this platform, they thought about Rainbow because Rainbow is done by multiple colors, and we love to see and to associate these rainbow colors with our people, with our talents, key talents, high potential key talents, but normal employee that simply wants to do their job as a unique whole in order, and the improvement of this platform allow us to create really something beautiful, something bigger. And this is the way we are trying to fill in the gaps that unfortunately the less globalized world is imposing us. So we need to find a strategy. This is one of our strategy. So high potential program and the usage of our own, they feel proud. And this also is a mean, and this is what I invite all of the people I talk with, the other HR, that they have the same problem. You have to know your people. Find a way to know your people. We leverage our internal communication platform. But if you do not know who is the person in front of you, what this person wants, then we are already losing something.
Filling the gap.
Yes.
Sounds like a nice claim for the future. Maria Rosaria, so what's your perspective about the future? You were describing your perspective as a used to be globalized and still globalized. So
yeah, and it's even more globalized. Of course, globalized for certain countries more than others, of course. I think that when I hear the energy of my colleagues, and I love to see that there is so much committed HR people, even in Italy. And that's a nice, very nice feeling. We have talent programs in every organization. And it's so important what the colleagues said, and talk with the people, know your people, make them feel valued. I want to go a little bit behind that, because if then we don't do anything with those programs, and the people doesn't find the next opportunity, and the talent is talent for 5 years and continues to be, and there is no change, there is no movement. I mean, the work, the beautiful work that the HR organization does, I mean, it's not useful, and doesn't position then the function even in the right way. So needs to be done, but then there needs to be consequences of those talent program, and we need to measure those consequences. How many people we have moved, how many people we have not only promoted, but even vertically moved. In fact, I was reflecting on what to do in this context that is so complex. First of all, enrich the jobs of the people, not only with verticalized career, but even with horizontal career. We say that since long time, but sometimes even the learning of a new skill can give you something different. The second thing, continue to invest in the renewal of skills, not only to identify talent, but into the population. I spoke before, what are the new skills that we have? And then continue, because democratize not only learning, and then democratize artificial intelligence and what's coming and what are the consequences, so people can be really engaged and involved in what is their destiny. Then people need to know the workforce strategy of the company. They need to know where the skills are and where they could move locally as well with a local contract in order to stay in the heart of the company, because we cannot fool ourselves. Not all sites have the critical competencies, and maybe some sites have the sales competencies. Then if you have the capability, try to have a career and move into a sales competencies, sales role. So I think that, yes, and of course engagement. But again, engagement is like the talent plan. If there are no consequences, it's empty words. So all of this, it's complex. And if your site doesn't match with the strategy, then you need to find really what are the skills that are present there. That is what you need to see and what you need to acquire as competence. But I would like to conclude saying something. I think that we are talking about companies, but I think that the work of HR and in general, it's not only about global companies. There is, because I'm talking sometimes to students that want to go into the HR profession. We need to think that the global environment, I think, it's even evolving. And in context like Italy, for example, now we're in Italy, there is so much else. There is different sectors. So I think that we need to step a little bit back. We are very much, companies are global. We need to have a global career. Maybe because I have done it, I don't know. But there is even something else. There is education. There is the administrative sector. There is the non-profit. And I think that we need to make sure that we look at all those sectors because economies are not only the global ones, are even different ones.
Thank you, Maria Rosaria. So I just wanted to underline the suggestion of a more transparent strategy for a bigger engagement. So, thank you. Melissa Luongo, we have a few minutes to end this session, so you have the honor to end the second round.
So, a question for the audience as well. Have you heard of this notion of frontier firm? So, frontier firm is a tech notion, one that Microsoft specifically is really speaking about, and it's about companies that lead with AI and companies that employ humans who also manage humans and agents together. And that changes talent management in a very big way as well. That does not mean location in any sense, because an agent is location agnostic, right? And having teams of humans in different parts of the globe and then having agents supporting with processes is also going to change the face of talent management. Now, frontier firm is frontier, top of the mountain. We're not there. Neither is Microsoft, and many companies are just at the forefront of it. And what I'm noticing within my company, and you see it on the market, you see it when we speak with customers, we are at this jagged frontier right now. A place where it's a mess, people are uncomfortable, we're losing talents because they are uncomfortable, and we're also skilling and reskilling talents because it is the only way to get to frontier. And nobody has the skills of the future. We know when we speak of some competencies that we know about today, but even the competencies that we talk about today were not the competencies of 2 years ago or even a year ago. So what I'm trying to get at is the talent management agenda will continue to evolve and change. But this uncomfortable place that we're in is super uncomfortable. Why? Because we're cutting jobs for this frontier. Those that remain are not happy because they're scared, because they're humans, right? We talk about get to know your talent. My talent is scared. But at the same time, they're not skilling fast enough. So, or they're not, I was at the general session this morning and they said the company needs to be agile, but so do the employees. And going back to this entitlement thing that you spoke about, employees are like, but I'm an engineer. I know, and you're great, and keep being an engineer. But did you ever think that if you reskill, you could be a technical seller? P.S. You'll make double the money, you know? But I mean, I have sites, Czech Republic, for example, where we've got 1,080 engineers and 70 sellers. I feel like it's like a success if I make 1 or 2 a salesperson. Yes, they're different profiles. Yes, sales is more stressful. Yes, but we need to change the mindset and the career paths in various ways. So to get to frontier, we're all going to have to change. HR in and of itself. And me and my team are struggling with that. We're struggling with taking less decisions, stuff coming from corp. So many things, as I mentioned earlier, less budgets and employees feeling not empowered. But what are we left with? What are we changing in the way we work every day? And that is actually the question. Like, how much am I using AI? How much quicker am I, taking decisions and so on and so forth? I need to be honest, I'm at the beginning, but I literally need to take an agent training by the end of the fiscal. It's called HR Agents for HR Professionals, to take that training so that I can learn myself. So it's for everybody. And that's kind of the message that I want to lead. Like, HR needs to change and evolve. The way we look at talent, the talent management landscape, companies are going to evolve. Can you imagine talent management in the future will be borderless because it will be probably 50% agents, or I'm making up a number, but it's just really to think about the current now, I would say, is jagged, and we need to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And as we navigate through this, we'll continue to learn.
Thank you, Melissa. So change or the mindset. So it's imperative. Okay, we'll end with this, the session. Thank you very much to our speaker, Manuela Crisafulli, Barbara Preti, Melissa Luongo, and Maria Rosaria Bonifacio. Thank you very much, and thank you for the audience. Thank you.